Tell me a Parsha story. Welcome to Parsha House.
Akiva was a shepherd who worked for a very wealthy man named Kalba Savua. And Kalba Savua had a daughter whose name was Rachel. Akiva was a good shepherd, a serious worker. He did not have the opportunity to learn Torah. He didn't learn how to read Hebrew or to write, so he wasn't able yet to learn. Rachel, Kalba Savua's daughter, saw that Akiva had a lot of potential, and he was a very good person. And she said, Akiva, if I marry you, if we get married, would you go and learn Torah? And he said that he would. He wasn't 5 or 6 or 7. He was 40 years old. How does somebody who's 40 years old and didn't even ever learn how to read or write begin to learn? What are the first steps? What do they do? On top of that question, I have another question. How are Akiva and Rachel going to support themselves? What are they going to live on? When they first got married, they actually slept on beds of straw. The Gemara tells us that when Rachel would wake up in the morning, Akiva had to help pick the straw out of her hair. After they got married, Rachel, who really believed in Akiva and who was a very wise woman, said, Akiva, let's go on a little outing. Let's go for a little walk. And he was like, sure. It would kind of be like today, going on a walk to visit the mall. And Rachel, in her wisdom, brought something very interesting along with them on their little walk. She took a donkey and put a mound of dirt in the middle of the back of the donkey and put like a sapling of a tree in the middle. It looked like a tree was growing out of the back of a donkey. That's crazy. They walked together to the shuk and they sat down. And as people walked by, they found it quite entertaining to see a tree growing out of the back of a donkey. And people laughed and laughed and laughed. And Rachel and Akiva were spending time together and chatting. And they were noticing that the people were laughing in the background. And they were having a very nice day. And when the day was over, they came back to their very, very modest home and went to sleep on the straw. And the next morning, Rachel said to Akiva, let's go on a walk again. Let's get out a little bit. And once again, she brought the donkey with the mound of dirt on its back and a tree stuck inside of that mound back to the shuk. And they sat there and chatted. And as people walked by, they laughed a teeny bit less than the day before, but it was pretty hilarious to see. And they did that for the next day and the next day. And by about the 5th day, people got so used to seeing a donkey with a tree growing out of its back that they walked right past. And Rachel and Akiva were chatting, and nobody even laughed. And then Rachel said to Akiva, Akiva, it's so interesting. On the first day, it looked so unusual that people laughed. And on the second day, people laughed. And on the third day, people laughed a little bit less. And on the fourth, a little less. And by the 5th day, nobody even noticed. I know, Akiva, that it's going to be very hard for you. And maybe it'll feel a little embarrassing to you to have to go to 1st grade when you're 40 years old to learn the alphabet, to learn how to read and write, so that you'll be able to learn from the Torah. And maybe, I hope it won't happen, but maybe some people or some of the children, maybe they'll laugh a little bit on the first day to see a 40-year-old man sitting in school with such young kids. But just think about that donkey. After a little while, people won't even notice, just like they stopped laughing about the donkey. And that gave Akiva so much strength because he knew that he had so much hard work ahead of him. But he was willing to work hard. And he learned, and he learned, and he learned until he became a great rabbi named Rabbi Akiva. And Rachel even let him go far away so that he could go to a yeshiva and learn Torah. So much Torah until he had so many Talmidim, 12,000, then another 12,000, because he was willing to work so hard. And she believed in him and encouraged him with wisdom. This week, we're going to finish Sefer Vayikra. We're going to read Behar, and then we're going to read Bechukotai. And at the end, we're going to say, Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek. In the very first pasuk of Bechukotai, it says, Im Bechukotai telechu, if you walk in the ways of the laws of the Torah, the et mitzvotai tishmeru, and if you keep the mitzvot of the Torah, the asita motam, and you do them. And Rashi wants to know why it says both. Why do you have to say if you follow the laws and you do the mitzvot and you keep them? Of course, if you're walking in the ways of the laws of the Torah, you're going to keep the mitzvah. The Torah doesn't put in any extra words. And Rashi explains that the reason why it has to say, if you walk in the ways of the Torah, in Bechukotai telechu, is because we learn from this that we should be amelim b'Torah. We should work very, very hard to learn the Torah. The et mitzvotai tishmeru, because if we work really, really hard, if we're amelim, then we'll be able to keep the mitzvot of the Torah. Rashi, the Torah is teaching us the value of hard work, the value of perseverance, the value of process, of working really, really hard towards something. If we learn hard, we'll understand the mitzvot and we'll be able to do them. It's not always easy to take the first step, and it's not always easy to keep up our hard work. Rabbi Akiva did that. He had the guts to start learning at the age of 40. And his wife, Rachel, who believed in him, helped him build the strength and know that if he works really, really hard, he will be able to accomplish great things. And Akiva became Rabbi Akiva. And he learned for 24 years. I hope that when we say the words, Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek, we will strengthen ourselves in the hard work that we need to all do for our growth. I want to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.